We got one more. There he is. Please welcome Will to the stage. He's going to chat to us about Nostr. You want to hold it, or you want it in the... Hold it?
Hello. How's everyone doing? All right. How many Nostr folks we have in the audience today? A few. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm here to talk about Nostr. It's an interesting thing to talk about Nostr at a Bitcoin event because Nostr has nothing to do with Bitcoin. But I think it actually plays a very important role in the story of Bitcoin, a very complementary role. I always say that the purple pill makes the orange pill go down easier. So I can kind of explain what that means, but what is Nostr? Yeah, so Nostr is a new technology that was created relatively recently by a guy named Fiat Jaff. And he was working in Bitcoin at the time, and he saw there was an issue on social media, which was, almost all of the conversations we have online these days is all happening on these central servers controlled by these corporations that don't have you in their interest. They really they see you as a product, and they're just trying to make money off you. And it's just a fact that this is where most communication happens online these days. And a lot of people are fine with that. People don't mind being a product, and then you get served relevant ads, and that makes people happy. So there are some benefits for people who are into that kind of thing. But I think, and a lot of other people think, especially a lot of Bitcoiners, when I talk to them, we need better tools, better technology, better solutions for communication online that isn't controlled by these corporations who don't have you, who are not interested in your free speech. Because they're happy to deplatform you. They're happy to remove you from their platforms if you don't say something that, like it makes an advertiser unhappy or something. They'll happily remove you because now you're not making the money. So it just feels very wrong. It just feels like, is this the world we want to go into the future, where they control what we're allowed to say and in some sense what we're allowed to think? Because another huge issue on these platforms is the algorithms kind of determine the conversations. It also determines the way people think, because if the algorithms are pumping up like rage bait and like fighting and clickbait, it's making people unhappy. It's making people angry, and it's making people unhappy. And it's pretty sad that this is the state of technology today, that our apps on our phones are not making us happy. They're making us, increasing anxiety. And if you look at the statistics on people, and even on kids these days, it's anxiety is high, depression is high. So maybe there's different ways of doing things. So I think that this is what Nostr represents. It's like this new type of technology that, in the same light of Bitcoin, what Bitcoin did for money was really important. It freed it from the existing institutions that were corrupting it. I really believe that Nostr represents the same thing, but for free speech online. So I know a lot of people are not on Nostr, so I want to quickly talk about what is Nostr and why it's important. So Nostr stands for Notes and Other Stuff Transmitted Over Relays. It's a mouthful, but the basic idea is, on a platform like X or Twitter, when you want to send a message, you draft a message and you send it to a specific server, which is their server, Elon's server, and he says that he approves or denies it. If he doesn't like what you say, he can remove you. So this is very strange. This is not reflective of reality. Like when we go to a meetup like this, we just say whatever we want to whoever we want, because that is what free speech is about. And a lot of people think that we have free speech online, but in reality, it's really controlled by this small group of people. So we need to fix that issue where whenever you're sending a message onto the internet so other people can read it, it's not a single party can say that you are allowed to say that or you're not allowed to say that. So Bitcoin, that's what Bitcoin solves for money, right? Like, we don't want a single party to say you can't make that transaction or you can't make that transaction. So the way that Nostr solves this is a little bit different from Bitcoin. It's, Bitcoin, they tries to maintain a state of the ledger over time, but Nostr is a bit more flexible. So, and all it does is whenever you send that note, you don't just send it to one server, you're sending it to 10 or 20 different servers controlled by different people. And even if one of those servers censors you, it doesn't matter because it's backed up across many other servers. So it's this really simple idea. And so I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful idea. I thought it was a genius. And but unfortunately, at the time, there was no clients. There was just a document written by this guy. And I'm like, well, let's see if I can make something. So I built this application called Damus. If you have an iPhone, you can go to the App Store and search for Damus, and you can try it out, and you'll realize it's very simple because we're building this technology on private keys, very much like Bitcoin. So it doesn't require KYC. It doesn't require you to put in your email to give any identifying information about yourself, and that's how it should be. We shouldn't be tying we shouldn't have to tie our government IDs to online identities just so that they can come knocking on your door if you say something bad, which we have seen happen recently in various protests where if you say the wrong thing, your bank account could be frozen. So what are the technologies that are fixing these issues? I think Nostr represents one of these technologies. So right now, if you download Damus, there's other clients for Android called Amethyst. If you download those, you can generate a private key, start sending messages into the Nostrverse. That's not what it's called. I made that up right now. But you can attach your Lightning address to your profile so that people can zap you. So people can send you Bitcoin, uncensorable money. So we're just trying to build this new system that's free of corporations that are trying to control our speech, free of governments trying to control who we're allowed to send money to. And I think that Nostr complements Bitcoin, and I think that these two technologies, they're really important and they synergize, and more people should use them. So definitely check it out. I'm happy to answer questions about Nostr, and anyway, that's Nostr. Yeah, so on other platforms like X, they actually have a pretty good payout system, but I think X recently announced where you can join this program where advertisers can pay you out, and some really popular people were getting paid like $20,000 a month, and that was really interesting. But a big downside of those approaches are if you say the wrong thing or if you say something that advertisers do not like, then you won't get paid. So it's actually corrupting. It's corrupting dialogue to be more sanitized so that it's so that advertisers are happy with it. And I feel like that's probably wrong. It just feels very wrong, and I don't think that's the way we should go. So we need solutions to monetize on this platform. That's why I thought integrating Bitcoin and Lightning into the network was really important. So the theory was maybe we can leverage this value for value model where if people like your content, they can zap your post. So I put together this spec on NIP called Zaps, and it allows people to just send you, they can send you a Bitcoin or they can send you a SAT, right? It's very flexible in that sense. And for me, it's been pretty good, and it's been able to fund the project just from Zaps, which is pretty impressive. I'm kind of an edge case because I'm the most popular the most popular account on Nostr. But in terms of the number of followers I have is not that much compared to some bigger influencers on other platforms. So I feel like even if you're just using value for value, just receiving Zaps, you can monetize very well. But the only issue with that is you need a certain scale so that Zaps start to get bigger and bigger Zaps and more people zapping. So that's kind of my main goal with Damus right now, just make it easy as possible to get people into the network so that they're zapping posts and there's a good, strong economy, the Zap economy. So I feel like the value for value story is a big part of monetization, but it's not the only story. There's lots of other different models happening on top of Nostr. So yeah, I think it's hard to say, but there's so many different ways that people are going with it. So.
Did you recently have an issue with the Apple App Store?
Yeah, so this is the big issue with this is exactly what I'm saying, these centralized entities that are trying to say that what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. So one of the big issues that Damus ran into, which was they said that you can't put a zap button. So the zap button in Damus is a button that's on each note, and you click it, and you can send sats to any note on the network. So actually, Apple, they don't allow this because they say that this is encouraging selling digital content or some nonsense stuff. So again, this is a threat. So I actually had to remove the zap button on posts, but I still have it on profile, so you can send profiles, sats on Damus. But this is why it was really important to build Zaps on an open protocol. So Zaps is just like a spec on top of Nostr. So like, I can still receive Zaps to my posts from other clients. So like actually Android clients are zapping my posts. It's just like Apple users can't zap my posts. It's just like the most ridiculous. So I think what's gonna happen is that Apple is gonna wake up, they're gonna start thinking differently, I hope. And, and they're gonna wake up to a reality where you can't stop the flow of information. You can't stop, it's kind of like, I always liken it to trying to ban a hyperlink in a browser. It's just information, it's just a spec. So yeah, they can try to, but they're not gonna stop. The zaps will continue to flow, so.
In the future, how do you see clients monetizing and making enough to actually sustain the
Yeah, so again, really leaning on the value for value model. What Damus had for a long time was this idea of a Zap split. So that when anyone in the app, it was an optional thing, they would just turn it on. If anyone was in the app, they zapped any post, they could configure the client to send some small percentage of the zap to the Damus dev. And actually so that was actually bringing in a decent amount of money for me every month, and it was like sustaining development for a bit. So I really like that model, and I think it should be expanded so that not only should you be able to configure it to zap the client, but you should be able to configure it to zap anyone. So you just make supporting people as easy as like, and it's a little bit better than subscriptions, because subscriptions, like they're active even when you're not using the app, but zap splits are only happen when you're actually using the app and when you're zapping people. So I really like that value for value split model. Yeah, but maybe there's other models that I'm not thinking of. But. I think clients will experiment with advertising, and even relays could, in theory, inject advertisements into the feeds. But it's really hard because one thing that's an underappreciated aspect of this open market system that we've built in some sense is that every other client is competing with every other client. So that if I add advertisement to Damus, it's like, well, it's probably gonna be annoying and they're just gonna switch to some other client. So yeah, so I think this is the reality. Like, yeah, clients could try it, but people are gonna move away from that client, so.
Okay, I heard you say that you're the most popular user, and I'm just wondering how you measure that.
It's a good question, because if it's actually kind of BS, because this idea, what is BS? So this idea of follower count is actually bullshit on a decentralized network. So if you ever see a client that shows your follower count on a decentralized network, it's actually BS, because there's no way to measure in a decentralized system how you count who's following you. First of all, they might not be advertising that they're following you. Second of all, you might not have a complete view of the network, because it's like there's many different nodes, so you don't really know, you don't have all the information. So all we can really do is make an estimate. So when I say I have the most followers, I kind of cheated, because every new account on Damus automatically follows me. So I'm like the MySpace Tom of Nostr. Because I was just trying to beat Jack, because Jack Dorsey, he's like getting so many followers. I'm like, man, I got to beat this guy. So I think Jack might be beating me now, which makes sense. He's Jack Dorsey, so.
But he's an investor, right?
He has invested, yeah. He's invested so much money into Nostr and Bitcoin, and honestly, yeah, Nostr wouldn't be what it is today if it weren't for Jack. Jack really truly believes in what Nostr represents. Nostr to Jack was like what Twitter should have been, right? He's told me this in person. He's like, this is what Twitter should have been. Like, this feels like what Twitter was like at 5,000 users, but better. Like, so he's a huge believer, and he's been a great source of funding and mentorship, and yeah. So Jack's an awesome dude.
Will, can you explain, because let's say I get censored at a relay.
Yep.
So the relay says, you can't say that, you're coming through our relay, and that relay blocks me. But my comment is not blocked from, to use your term, the nososphere. Can you just give a kind of low-level tech as to why that's important and what it is?
Yeah. So why are we building this complex setup where, instead of sending to when sending Hello? Okay. Yeah, so why are we constructing this weird thing where we're not just sending to one server, we're sending to multiple servers? It's for this exact reason, right? We're trying to get our message out to as many relays as possible, so that it doesn't matter if an individual relay blocks you, right? So that's why it's really important that when your client connects, when you configure your clients, you configure to connect to many different servers, and then it's really likely that one of the relays you connect to will probably have your messages, so it doesn't matter if individual relays censor you, because it is ineffective in that point. So.
So just a quick follow-up. So
Yeah.
XYZ relay says I can't be part of that anymore, but I personally in my client, I'm following, I'm using other relays, and therefore my message gets out, and the people that are interested in maybe following, if that's the word,
Yeah.
they still get that message. But just help me with this one thing.
Yeah.
If they're not on the same relay as me, then they don't hear the message.
Yeah.
Is there the maybe the last thing is explain global.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is why it's really important. So one of the pieces of data that's on your profile, that's on your contact list, is you can list out all the relays that you are connected to. So if someone really wanted your messages, they would make sure that they are connected to all the relays that you have configured. So that's so that's really important. So you want to make sure that you're overlapped well with the relays that of the people that you care about, that you want their messages. Actually, a good example of this is actually Japan has really taken this isolated relay approach to the next level. So in Japan, they actually have relays that you can only access the relays if you are geographically situated within Japan. So they actually have their own network within Japan right now, and I don't actually even see it. And I think they're using DOMIS because DOMIS is really strict about only connecting to the relays that you configure. So yeah, it's really cool to see different ways that people are using that. And another thing I did even just this morning is I just wanted some local notifications from my server on my local network. So I removed all the relays and only added a relay from my local network, and now it's a personal social network just for my home. So you can kind of do cool stuff like that. Oh yeah, sorry, global. So we called it, we renamed it Universe because we want to be inclusive to the extraterrestrials. Because we figured if they do come and they want to make first contact, the best protocol would probably be Nostr. Because it's just basic crypto primitives and stuff, and they don't need to register to KYC to, I don't know, how would they even do that, right? So.
Let's do one more. I saw a couple hands. I encourage you to find him after, because we don't have a lot of time left in the event itself. So
Okay, sorry. One more. Who is? Let's do. Yeah. Yeah, so there's Fiat Jeff did a really good article on basically how to remove all bots or make bots a non-issue. And Nostr is uniquely positioned to fight the bot issue. And actually no clients really do this, but so if you think about it, if you only ever pull notes from people that you know, then you will never receive any bot spam because, but that's not really useful because sometimes you want messages from strangers or people that you don't know. So some of the sources of spam and bots are in a thread, because anyone can post to a thread. Also in your notifications, anyone can get in your notifications. And then DMs, anyone can get in your DMs. So I can make one small tweak to DOMIS today, which I will probably do very soon, which is have an option that if any of those danger areas where that a bot could appear, you simply only allow messages from paid relays within those areas. So that if you want to spam a thread, or if you want to spam my notification, or you want to spam my DMs, you have to at least join a paid relay first. So this actually might limit, people who haven't paid to get into your thread, but maybe that's okay for people who get lots of spam. So yeah, Nostr is really good at, and has a lot more powerful opportunities to fight spam than other platforms. Oh yeah, it's a free-for-all. It's all public information, right? So it's a public network. Anyone can pull data down in any way they want. So if you are concerned about your privacy and you don't want to give away too much information about things you're liking or things like that, then simply don't like things or just create a profile that is anonymous. And you should do that if you care about those types of things. So, all right, thanks.